defenseless, betrayed and embarrassed. I hate being open, I hate being broken. I feel like an ocean filled up with emotion. Anger ain't a potion, rub it on like lotion. I can feel it soaking, reopen, the scars have awoken. I can't move on till I let go. I feel so lost, never at home. Need to be strong, every breath hold. Cause I can't move on till I let go. I can't move on till I let go. I feel so lost, never at home. Need to be strong, every breath hold. Cause I can't move on till I let go. I'm just lost to feel. I need time to heal. I can't steer the wheel, cause this drive it kills, and it gives me chills. A nice road it feels. I slip off the peel and crash all the steel. Will I ever heal? I can't move on till I let go. I feel so lost, never at home. Need to be strong, every breath hold. Cause I can't move on till I let go. I can't move on till I let go. I feel so lost, never at home. Need to be strong, every breath hold. Cause I can't move on till I let go. Swear I won't forget this, why do I regret this? In my mind reckless, thoughts are feeling endless. Sitting up I'm breathless, anxiety's infectious. I feel so defenseless, betrayed and embarrassed. I hate being open, I hate being broken. I feel like an ocean filled up with emotion. Anger ain't a potion, rub it on like lotion. I can feel it soaking, reopen, the scars have awoken. I can't move on till I let go. I feel so lost, never at home. Need to be strong, every breath hold. Cause I can't move on till I let go. I can't move on till I let go. I feel so lost, never at home. Need to be strong, every breath hold. Cause I can't move on till I let go. I'm just lost to feel. I need time to heal. I can't steer the wheel, cause this drive it kills, and it gives me chills. A nice road it feels. I slip off the peel and crash all the steel. Will I ever heal? I can't move on till I let go. I feel so lost, never at home. Need to be strong, every breath hold. Cause I can't move on till I let go. I can't move on till I let go. I feel so lost, never at home. Need to be strong, every breath hold. Cause I can't move on till I let go.
What's up, everybody? How's it going, legendary frog? Howdy, howdy. How's everybody doing? What are we, September 13th, 2022. Seasons are underway. Got a little bit to talk about this week. Oh, I have the outdated overlay. This guy. Talk a little bit about the Washington High School League. We'll talk about Fall Overwatch, just announced by Activision Blizzard a couple days ago. Talk about Esports. You just tweeted out basically a thread explaining how you can qualify for their national event. I think that's going to be about it this week. Yeah, I think that'll be about it. Just scrolling through the timeline, seeing if we're missing anything else. Not many positions posted recently. Nothing big to talk about there. How are things? Big topics to discuss today. I am doing good. How are you? There's fun stuff. There's always stuff going on. Let's see. Over the last week, I guess we had a couple positions posted. Not a ton, nothing huge, nothing groundbreaking, but there's a couple part-time positions posted in the Discord. Madam Schmantor, what up? Excited for your take on the Washington State esports stuff. I'm excited to talk about it a little bit. I've got their statement up, got a little bit of background, all that good stuff. Yo. Wedding week, Lindsay. Sup? Bum bum bada bum. Literally working on my vows right now. Good. Oh gosh. Don't pull anything from what I say. WSSEA explanation was super interesting to read. It was interesting to read. I think it'll be interesting to go through a little bit. I think I'm going to caveat the whole thing as we only have one side of the story. I'm just going to read a transcript of this stream. Oh, fantastic. I vow to watch Banter with Antor with you every week. Wrap it up. That's it. That is it. Bet. Yeah, I think that's a pretty good one. That's a pretty good vow. Vows done. Wrap it up. GG's. Well, before I really get into stuff, I want to say congrats to Davenport Esports, Davenport University, and their esports program. Colin Graham's their director. Coy's their assistant / CSGO coach. They had a good showing at Philadelphia. What up, Mega? They played against one of Evil Genius's academy teams. They ultimately lost, but had a really good showing. They ended up 9th through 12th place, tying for 9th place at Philadelphia, which I guess is a big deal. I'm so in the main event, which is a big deal. Pretty cool to see. Going up against EG's academy teams. Definitely wanted to shout them out. They get a ton of traction on social with their CSGO stuff. Their CSGO team is wicked. Yeah, it's just cool. So shout out to them. All right. Next up, I'll call attention real quick to Esports U announcing they made this nice little thread here. I'll throw it up on screen for y'all to see about a thread about how to qualify for their national event. I know Esports Foundry is a big piece of the CECC event. I'm a big fan of the Esports Foundry folks. You know her. I think I know her too. But I really like this little thread about explaining some things. It tells you which region you're in, how to qualify, and then your regional dates. And then all this stuff about that. But yeah, they just put that out there. Help people explain explain to people how to do things. I know for us, South and East are like this fall. So if you're interested in trying to do that, do that. Let's talk about, and then let's hop over to Overwatch. So Activision Blizzard announced their Collegiate Overwatch league in the fall. We were all kind of under the impression that they weren't doing anything. What's up, Kyber? I mean, multiple leagues were under the impression that they weren't doing anything in the fall. And they just announced this 4 days ago. The big controversy was that they had their match default days being on Thursdays after they had talked to and approved NACE and NECC having their default days on Thursdays. Which was disappointing to see, to say the least. There was a lot of uproar in the Activision Blizzard Collegiate Discord server, and they ended up moving their default days to Fridays. But that is only for their Swiss stage. I mean, it's the only stage that has those weekly dates. But they will be on Fridays. So if you're playing in the official Overwatch 2 Collegiate League that starts October 14th, it says, those will be on Friday nights. Should be fun. I think you play 2 matches on Friday nights. Yeah, you play a 7:30 p.m. Eastern and a 9 p.m. Eastern. Gotta love it. What's up, Bubba? Thanks, everybody, for stopping by. We're back in the swing of things. Seasons are getting underway. But yeah. I mean, it's good to see that they're doing something. They got a nice little $63,000 prize pool. Just frustrating how they announced it and decided to do that default day first. Prepping for 2 matches back-to-back sounds despair. Yeah, it is going to be rough for those teams. I know NECC, I believe, does 2 matches a week as well, I think. Don't quote me on that. NACE is currently, their plan is to do 1 Tuesday night and 1 Thursday night. So they'll have 2 nights of Overwatch. And that's mainly because, all this is mainly because Overwatch 2 is being launched so late. It's the only way to get a league format complete is to do 2 matches a week. So it's yeah. So NECC is doing 2 matches a night this fall because of that. NACE is doing 2 matches a week, but they're on different nights. It's just going to be crazy. I mean, right when Overwatch 2 was announced and we got a date, we kind of all knew that this was going to be kind of a cluster of a fall. But yeah, seeing some competition, so that's exciting. Yeah, 5v5. Let's go. Best of 3. We don't have map names yet, just map types. But yeah, it'll be a knockout. It's a Swiss format, so you'll play 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 Swiss matches, and then the I don't know how many teams get into this. Oh, 32. So the top 32 teams after Swiss will go into a single elimination bracket here, and then they'll play it out based on your seeding from the Swiss stage. How many teams sign up for this? That you're gonna need to probably run the gauntlet here, or at least only drop 1 match, maybe 2 to get into top 32. Probably 1. I am here waving my FERPA so you can use my information in the betterment of your podcast. Your information. I'm glad. I wish leagues didn't have registration for OW2 legit right after it releases. Yeah, it is what it is. I mean, you have to. If you want to get a season in the fall, like the only option is to have registration close like a couple days after Overwatch 2 gets released. Yeah, I mean, you're not going to be able to prep for this season or anything. This fall season for Overwatch 2, you just have to kind of frame it as like a prep for the spring. No one's going to know what's going on. It'll probably be buggy because that's just how games are these days when they get released. I am slightly surprised that Activision Blizzard even is running an official competition that starts like a week after launch. Like that's ballsy, in my opinion. That is ballsy. But I guess they're confident in it. Fall is just going to be scuffed for everyone. Yeah, it's going to be a rough one for Overwatch. But hopefully, I don't know. Hopefully it's a good experience. See how it goes. And then the big topic, I guess, of this week, we're going to be talking for the majority of the time is on the Washington State Scholastic Esports Association. So a little background on this. There is a nonprofit league in Washington. I'm just glad Lowell never changes like wow. I get it. So for bugs, it's a bit different, and most other times because they have so much data with OWL and contenders playing a lot of matches on it. Yeah. So Washington State Scholastic Esports Association is the nonprofit state league ran by a couple teachers and educators. The traditional athletic group in the state of Washington is the WIAA. This is the traditional athletic high school group. Recently, a year or so ago, the WIAA partnered with Playfly, who was and basically decided Playfly was going to be their official support or supplier for esports in the state. It wasn't going to be Play Versus. It wasn't going to be Generation Esports. It wasn't going to be NASEF. They decided on Playfly. And at some point when that was happening, the nonprofit league was also brought into that conversation. And some things happened, and now the nonprofit league has said, we have decided to end negotiations with Playfly and WIAA. And here is your full statement. So you get into the full statement. It's a doozy, just over 3 pages. It's not too bad. I did read it. I'll give you just like the TLDR, a little skim over, if you will. Basically, the nonprofit, the board of directors of the nonprofit decided to end negotiations with these two groups and will continue to grow Washington State esports without their support. Here's the thing that a lot of these nonprofit leagues don't want to think about is some of these traditional sports groups don't really need you as a nonprofit league. I'm just going to put that out there right now. Like the WIAA has all the connections to these schools without you. And yes, they can go completely screw it all up, make a terrible esports experience, but they accomplish their goal at the end of the day. Like they put on esports. Maybe it's a bad experience. It is what it is. But they don't need you. And I think a lot of nonprofits at the state level don't want to talk about that. So just keep that in mind. And that was a fact, in my opinion, that I had in the back of my mind as I read this. This came off very, in my opinion, as we're the better group. We think these two groups are terrible and we aren't going to work with them anymore. And that's kind of it. There is some good stuff in here, and there's alarming stuff in here for Playfly and how they kind of have operated this relationship. Completely agree with that. But it was just came off a little weird to me. Can they survive is the question. Because if the WIAA says if your school does esports, you will do it in our leagues unless you are a private school. I don't know. No one really knows. Like no one really knows right now. I know in Michigan, Michigan's another kind of example of this where Play Versus is partnered with the high school secondary principals association or something. I don't know. Who that group has blocked me on Twitter because I blasted them for partnering with Play Versus. But I digress. They're both operating. So MySef, the nonprofit, is still operating. The Play Versus group is still operating, and both, I don't even know who has the bigger group now, but I think they're both pretty close in size. Yeah. The cost part. Yeah. We'll get there. I agree. The cost part is what I always find uncomfortable. Yeah. So the board of directors did not come to this decision lightly. Process of negotiations we have engaged in for the last 6 months, followed by the most recent decisions, have convinced us that their leadership is not in line with our values and ultimately not ideal for the growth of scholastic esports in Washington State. Basically, they all came together. The WSEA put a bid on the RFP for doing official esports in the state of Washington with the WIAA, but ultimately lost to Playfly. From my perspective, like this makes a lot of sense to me. Like I don't think that a group of volunteers or teachers who are volunteering can come provide the value that an organization like the WIA is looking for in an organization. And the sustainability too is like what happens if two of the board of directors decide not to stop doing it because it's too much work. It's just, yeah. So they lost the bid to Playfly. They are disappointed by their decision, but ultimately decided to continue on supporting and growing the esports community in a way that aligned with our values, which we have succeeded at. In winter 2022, the WIA reached out with their partner about creating a more cohesive and unified system for esports. So they probably reached out last January, February. It's like, hey, we want to partner. There's no need for us to be doing independent things, but doing the same thing at the end of the day, or trying to do the same thing, trying to grow esports. Things move slowly at first as the WIA and W were working through their spring seasons. Yeah, so they both were pretty busy at the time. So they probably had maybe a meeting once a month or something. Not much collaboration happening. In April, the WSSEA submitted a broad framework for how a relationship between the three could work. This is interesting to me. I guess when I was reading this, I kind of was taken back by like, why are they the ones coming up with that framework? Maybe because they were the first ones to do it. I don't know. It's just odd because the other two are kind of the ones. The other one is the one that won the contract. So you'd think like Playfly would create that. But it is what it is. It's just interesting. To quote our pitch directly, in short, the WIAA focuses on sanctioning. So the WIAA, in this framework, they basically laid out 3 different sections. They laid out this traditional athletic association should work on creating awesome live state championship events. Playfly should sell ads and sponsorships, and the WSAA would serve the coaches and run the seasonal day-to-day activities. So WSEA would just run the league. So how I see this is the WSSEA comes and they're like, all right, we want to do what we're doing. Like we're probably doing a good job. Like we want to do what we want to do. Here's how you two can support what we're doing. And that is probably not the best way to communicate or work together to bring everyone to the table, in my opinion. I get where they're coming from. I see it kind of, but it's just interesting that like the WSSEA lost this contract and then they're trying to push the conversation. It's just a little odd to me. Yeah, I don't know if I don't know. I don't know. It's interesting. But I mean, Playfly, to my knowledge, would have been the ones that could provide this. Like, in my opinion, I've said this on Twitter. I think Playfly is one of Playfly's biggest strengths right now when we look at like Star League and the collegiate space and what they've done is this day-to-day activities and logistics, especially in Star League. Now, that all goes thrown out the window when they sign this contract with Generation Esports. So kind of leave that to the side. The nonprofit group believes that that framework would leverage the strengths of each organization and is the ideal way for our companies to create a comprehensive system that provides support. They believe their greatest strength is in logistics. I don't really know what that means. I'm assuming like communicating with coaches on a daily basis and creating the league and then taking scores is my guess, which they probably are better than the other two groups at. Community-based organization is able to leverage existing systems, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. WSCA used them to create a better framework for seasonal play in esports that the national for-profit companies, Playfly included, have been unable to replicate successfully. I'd be interested to know a little bit more what this statement actually means. Like they created a better framework for creating a league. I don't know. Playfly's greatest strength is their position and connections to the industry at large. I mean, Playfly, what they bring to the table is money. Like they sell sponsorships. I mean, they sell ads. They also like do a ton of marketing stuff. Like Playfly has a massive portfolio of stuff. What their play is on high school, unless it's like right now, I don't know. I believe the WIA is one of their clients, so I don't know what they provide in that relationship, but they do more than just create connections. Like they sell media rights, is a large portion of what that they do. Playfly brings a wealth of experience in marketing, sponsorships, and collegiate connections. Agreed. Acquisition, increase their ability to support Scholastic by serving blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. Position in a history of managing live state championships, bringing their expertise in event planning. Again, like all of this, like their whole, like WSSEA's whole position on this is we should be running the leagues. We should be doing all the day to day. You guys just step to the side, add where you can. You take care of live event at the end of the year and you go sell sponsorships. And it's interesting. This is where they're like, in my opinion, like in my opinion is like, this isn't the play you make after you lose the contract of being able to run leagues, you know, like, no, the WIAA said like has decided already that you're not the one that they want running the leagues. But I mean, maybe I'm not privy to those conversations. So maybe they're getting feedback like this is what they want. Not sure. I think the nonprofit state leagues fail at monetization under the guise of it's for the kids when there's more ways to earn than dues to develop and expand the league. Good point. In June, all three parties agreed that this framework. So this was over the course of April, May, June. So like less than 3 months probably. So like they came up with this framework. I don't know how many conversations they had between the framework and then the agreements. It could have been a couple. I don't know. All three parties agreed that this framework would be acceptable moving forward. Okay, so they have this acceptable agreement. So according to this group, they say all three parties agreed. Who represents these three parties is going to be my question, because we'll find out later that the person from Playfly's side ends up leaving, and that's where things get interesting, if I recall correctly. We announced our agreement at our June conference with the plan to continue negotiations through the summer. Gave me hope. It's interesting. It was interesting to see like all of these were like we the board of directors, we, and then this statement it was me. I don't know what that means. Maybe I'm reading too much into it. It's just weird that all of it was like the we. It was using we until except that sentence. Maybe other board members weren't as excited. I don't know. This agreement would pioneer the future of Scholastic Esports. It's at that point, however, that negotiation slowly turned. So after summer vacations in early July, negotiations began in earnest. Later in the month, the first draft of our agreement from Playfly and the WIA left us disappointed as it felt more like a non-compete clause rather than the true partnership we discussed in June. This probably totally agree. I would not be surprised. This probably happened. Like I'm assuming this is what happened. Like when you start getting legal into things and like the actual execs of these companies get involved, they're not going to know about the conversations you guys have been having. And I'm not surprised that this was at least a non-compete clause was a part of this agreement. I don't know if there was other parts of the agreement outlined there or not. But I mean, I'm also not surprised that this would be included in some type of formal agreement that they're having. Because what you don't want is like to have the WSSEA being involved in your league and then running their own at the same time. Like it wouldn't make sense. But this is pretty. I mean, this is disappointing. If you felt that if they felt that the agreement that they were waiting for came back and it was just like a non-compete. That would suck. Role in operations was eliminated. So this agreement completely cut off WSSEA's role in it, though Playfly and the WIA insisted we continue share schools. So the conversation turned from let's work as partners to you give me the names of your schools and we'll run everything. Which this is where things get rough. It'd be interesting to see this agreement. This is important because esports is currently a provisional activity for the WIAA. So for the WIAA to have esports become a permanent activity, they need to have about 160 schools. This is pretty standard, like across most traditional sports things, even conferences. Like conferences have a minimum number of schools that have to support that activity for the conference to support it. The same thing is going to happen at the state level. I know Michigan had a similar one. I don't know what the number was, but most groups on the traditional sports side have something like this. So they had to have 160 schools to do that. And part of the agreement they had would be to sign on the 50 schools that were already in WSSEA. And that would add to the 40 to 60 schools that the WIAA had last year. So both of these groups had competing leagues last year operating at the same time. The plan was to combine them. So August negotiations focused on improving conditions on the above points. WSSEA WAA had concerns about the length, format, and game selection. I don't know what those concerns would be. I don't know if the nonprofit had other games they wanted and Playfly just wanted to start with one or two, or if maybe the WIAA wanted to do traditional sports games and not first-person shooters. I don't know, but there are some problems here with a lot of this from an esports perspective. They reached to an agreement on the nonprofit supporting the spring season logistically and a shared platform that Playfly would provide as compensation. So I guess what this would mean is that the WSSEA would do their own fall season and then they would come together for a spring one. I'm not sure. By mid-August, we had only 2 points left to discuss, a clause in the contract about a continuing relationship should the WIA meet their 160 goals, and then the cost for schools. So they had somehow come all together. They had figured out everything except the last two of what the relationship looks like after they hit their goal of 160. So they wouldn't, the nonprofit doesn't want to be pushed to the side if they hit their 160 and help them. And then the cost for the schools was being discussed. From the beginning, they expressed concerns about the price Playfly and the WIA were charging for their service, $60 per student. We shared that feedback we heard from our schools with them, that it was too restrictive, which I agree with. The problem with a lot of these per student models is a lot of the schools in the nonprofits are programs or teams ran by volunteer teachers with no budget. Like that's where I was when I started the high school team at West Catholic. Like I had no budget. I was doing a volunteer. Like they were like, admins were like, yeah, you can do esports as long as it doesn't cost us money. And that's the heart of these per student charges. When we talk about Playfly, when we talk about Generation Esports, like for my kids to compete at West Catholic, there was only HSCL at the time. My students' parents had to pay for their students to play. And I was at a well-off school. I knew plenty of other programs or teams that were starting off that were in very low-income schools. And the goal should be to give students opportunities to compete on an esports team at your school, not be how do we extract money from these kids. And that's where the argument is. If the school is paying, I'm not arguing that. If you can guarantee that the school is paying these fees, sure, go for it. Like I'm not opposed to that, but that's not the reality. That is not what happens in my experience at the majority of high schools. It is pushed off to the students, and that is not okay in my opinion. That's where my argument is. The WIA verbally stated in early negotiations that the goal was to make esports a cost-neutral activity, as it is with their traditional athletics offerings. No other activity the WIA offers charges this high of an additional fee. There are traditional sports state orgs that charge like $100 per school for the year and then go raise sponsorships. There's others that will charge a flat rate for all their sports, a couple $1,000s per school. But $60 per student is very steep, in my experience. And you also have to I always wonder, yes, these esports orgs or whatever need to make money, but that's a lot of money for putting up a website. Leagues can be run off Google Sheets. Why do you need so much freaking money? You've got bigger plays. You're using this money to pay off other stuff. And that's just, I don't know, not very super ethical in my opinion. Go make your money elsewhere or do other stuff. I think there's a massive opportunity here for Playfly to go sell sponsorships for their broadcasted matches, for their state championship, you name it. When I did high school, I had 86 kids. That's a lot of kids. Yeah. And that's a lot of money. 86 times 60. $5,160. So your program would be paying this per year, I'm assuming, which is crazy. Like at a high school, I never had a budget, period. Where am I going to get $5,000? I don't know. It's just, maybe I'm crazy. I don't know. Maybe I'm the frugal, crazy one. On September 8th, so this was 5 days ago, we received an email from Clint Kennedy, Playfly's representative in these negotiations. Actually, maybe maybe that person doesn't leave, but we get, okay. So they got an email from Playfly's rep in these negotiations. I don't even know what his position is. Let's look. Welcome, Dr. Clint Kennedy of Playversus. Who is this person? I don't think, is it this guy? Scholastic Esports Consultant. Oh, lordy. He was at Playversus. Look at that. Director of Education from Playversus. Why would you? Bro. Because Playversus went so well. So let's, board member at NASEF. What? Bro, this dude, board member at NASEF and esports consultant for Play. What is going? Why? Bro. What? Bro, they're competing organizations. Oh my. Oh, okay. So the dude worked at Playversus for a year and a half. He now is a board member at NASEF and the Scholastic Esports Consultant at Playfly. Okay, well, red flags all over the place. I'll just tell you that. Okay, conflict of interest. Yeah, you'd maybe a little bit here. You'd think, what the, bro, these people. Okay. Esports. We received an email from Clint, Playfly's rep in these negotiations. Well, I mean, Playfly just lost out to NASEF getting the state of California to do their esports. So I don't know. Maybe the dudes tried to swig momentum towards NASEF. I don't know. How do I get one of these consultant jobs? Is it because I'm not a good grifter? Yeah, I guess not. Playfly had recently signed a new agreement with Generation Esports. Yes, we know that. To be their high school platform provider. Generation Esports is not yet ready to offer HSSEA the platform access and functionality as discussed. So, like, the cornerstone of them collaborating was to get a platform for free. Like, the nonprofit was expecting to get a platform for free, and then they would help this group in the spring. Like, that was at the basis of it, from my understanding in this letter. Now, again, this is only one side of the story, but from their negotiations, they're convinced that their payment for helping in the spring and bringing teams in was to get a platform. And now it's like, nah, Generation can't do it. The functionality, I get this. Like, they might have had some asks that that League Spot could offer that Generation Esports can't do. I'll tell you right now, like, my experience from Generation Esports platform is it's got a lot of work to do. All right. A lot of work to do. Compared to League Spot, a lot of work to do. It's bad. Well, your words, not mine. All right. So the functionality, get that. The platform access, that's a slap to the face. All right. WIAA was going to proceed with exhibition matches in the fall at the same time as the fall season for the nonprofit. All previous agreements for the WIAA and Playfly supporting the fall season were removed. Weird. The WIAA has already begun publishing announcements to their coaches that does not include any mention of WSSEA in the fall or spring season. another slap in the face. Like, okay, something went wrong where these negotiations derailed that I think we're missing in this letter. Like, this is only half the story. Like, there's got to be something, because it doesn't totally add up. It was suggested that the nonprofit run our own spring season instead of providing logistical support for the WIAA season. So like this statement sounds like the WIAA is like, you know what? This is a lot of hassle. We could just do it ourselves. Like, we don't need them. Like, we'll just go out and get our own. And then the $60 per student price was non-negotiable. Nice. Okay. Well, yeah. If I just slap esports consultant in my LinkedIn and Twitter bio, it would work. Yeah, it might. Yeah. I guess so. I don't know. I don't know how. It seems like there's so many successful folks in esports that are just like good salespeople, and people just believe everything they say. I don't know. The stark reversal of our 6 months of negotiations sent our board reeling. Fair. Essentially, the nonprofit's role in operations was eliminated, and instead we became a way to add numbers to their bottom line without the compensation of the use of the shared platform. Yeah, like what is the WIAA offering now? Like, we'll legitimize your esports. Oh, okay, what does that even mean? Like, what? I don't know. Okay. We had been negotiating in good faith with Playfly and the WIAA, and our fall plans revolved around an agreement being reached. Game selection for the fall was selected to be the best way to onboard schools and give them experience. Purposely did not re-sign our contract with our tournament platform this year, expecting to have the full support of Playfly. Held off on our normal schedule, so they basically haven't done much to plan for their own season because they're expecting to work with this group. Now we have 3 weeks until the fall season. We are disappointed in the complete change to the agreement we had been working on. Yeah. And that's the story. So this is half the story. It'd be interesting to see the other half. We won't probably ever see the other half. Playfly and WIAA probably aren't going to share anything. Like, this isn't like burning them to the ground by any means, so we probably won't see any statement or anything. Need trophy at in-person event. There you go. You're late, but you're here. Welcome. Glad you're here. Yeah, so we got through this interesting. I did not hear that they were working together. I don't know what went wrong with these contract negotiations. If Playfly just like played a full 180 on these folks, like maybe it could have been where whoever the negotiator was, like this Clint dude, was like playing nice, and then the execs at Playfly decided against what he maybe had wanted to do, or he was just like playing the game to try to make friends with this 50 groups of schools as like a sales opportunity to get those schools involved. I don't really know. But it's a mess. It's kind of a mess. The unfortunate reality is that the WIAA is probably going to be successful, even without WSSEA there. Like, you might not get those 50 schools that are doing in the nonprofit league for at least a couple years, but at some point the WIAA is just going to keep going and offering esports, and every school is going to just eventually probably move over. That's just the reality. Like from the WIAA, which is not the traditional sports side, like their execs probably don't even care. Like, they don't probably care. They're like, oh, we're adding esports and people want us to add esports. Playfly says we'll make a ton of money from it. Like, let's do it. And they're not really out for like the best esports experience or like the best opportunities for students. Like, yeah. So, an unfortunate story to come out of Scholastic Esports this week. Don't know what other information I can get at this point. I've been historically pretty pleasantly surprised with Playfly, and I've had great experiences with them at the collegiate level. I was excited to see them starting to support the high school scene. That all started to take a sour turn when they signed with Generation Esports, in my opinion, for a variety of reasons. But yeah, and this just doesn't help with that either. Warhood, isn't that the reality of probably 90% of all Scholastic leagues? Yeah, it is. Where the traditional side of things doesn't really care and will just do their own thing. These traditional sports orgs have a lot more power with schools, but there aren't a ton of Scholastic leagues that have that traditional sports side. There's a couple of the conferences, obviously, like ECAC has a little bit of that with their traditional sports side of things, where they'll probably still be around supporting esports long term. They'll probably get smaller at some point. NACE is started and ran and supported by the NAIA. So they'll probably be around, but if things changed, it would probably become much smaller. There's a lot of these Scholastic orgs have that same problem or fate. Collegiate Playfly has been a pleasure to work with so far down at UCF. Yeah, I really enjoyed Playfly folks. A couple of them are fans of the show. We work with them for Naystar League. They've been great. But like I said, like their greatest strength, in my opinion, has been their operations things, like their day-to-day, their tournament adminning. Like they've just done a really good job at that. And then they're selling sponsorships, which is their bread and butter. Doing a great job there. It was just to see them rumored to sell this, the day-to-day operations to Generation Esports. Kind of sucked to hear, But the rumor is that Generation Esports paid a pretty penny to be the official provider and platform for Playfly high school stuff. Hopefully they don't try to get pressured to do the same thing at the collegiate side. With Naystar League, that would irk me greatly. But I can see it happening. I mean, they've got, what did we look up? We looked up last time how much Generation Esports has raised. It's like 29.9 million. That would be an interesting development. It's a way that I think Generation Esports is trying to solidify themselves more long term in the Scholastic space. You basically just buy out your competition. You're like, hey, well, not buy out the competition, but like pay the competition to not compete against you. Which is interesting. Oh, what else? What else is everybody thinking about? Just saw currently 64 teams signed up so far for ABC Homecoming Tournament. I guess they have room for 512 teams. Wow, that's a lot of teams. I wonder if they'll fill it up. That would be interesting. I would assume they'd fill it up. At the very least, like a bunch of school clubs will probably garner a lot of momentum when Overwatch 2 comes out. Question here. What do you think about Collegiate Valorant allowing schools to choose their region? I think it's dumb. There's some really dumb rules that definitely are made not thinking about what collegiate esports is. So like what CVAL, like how many, only like two students on the team have to be from the same school or something. What else did I just see? That was for Red Bull Clash or whatever. And then there's another one I just saw for another league. It was like, was it Overwatch? I thought it was Overwatch where, students only have to be there half-time. They only have to be half-time students or something. I think it's crazy to me. Like, what is the thought process going through the heads of some of these folks at the developers? Like, it just doesn't make sense. Yeah, it is Overwatch. Yeah. Like, I don't know. I don't know those folks very well. Yes, I can recognize some names, but like, what is their background and like, what is even going on? Like, what is the thought process? What league is that for OW? I think it's the Overwatch, the actual Overwatch tournament, the homecoming thing. They want more participation. We had a directors meeting for Fortnite, and that was the logic Epic used. They care more about participation versus the actual competition. Well, then open it up and let other people provide competition. Like, they kind of have, like some of those have, but, or make 2 tiers or something. I don't know. It's all, I don't know. It just doesn't make sense to me. The server placement choice as well for the regions in CVAL is really weird. I don't know why they chose Texas servers instead of Georgia for the South Conference. The metric of participation is more important to them. I don't know if link are allowed. I like the 2 tiers idea for sure. Using game battle. I don't know if links are allowed, but here's the link. Yeah, it's on game battles. I don't have links allowed here. I am biased. I like what we get Texas. I like that we get Texas. Yeah. Fair. I don't know. It's so odd because we have 300, 400 schools with varsity teams that are operating and building something one way. And then you have the developers who are building something a different direction. And then you've got like student clubs who are just like following whatever they can. It's just so odd. And I think it's clear to me that there's just not a lot of true collegiate experience in the developers, and they don't truly take feedback very often. Wait, Adam, is Florida Southern going to be in East or South? We don't have CVAL, at least not this year, so you don't have to worry about us. Thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. It's just strange because CLOL, all Florida teams play in the South. Yeah. Everyone, gotcha. Everyone who can reasonably get out of the South should. Nice. Okay. Good to know for next year. Yeah, we don't have CVAL. I don't know the conferences for CVAL. Can someone share? Our region is mega stacked. I don't even think I'm in the CVAL Discord server, so I couldn't tell you. Registration, region selection. I'm interested to see who's running the West. So they announced their partners who are running things. So the North will be eFuse, Battlefy will be East, and then South is Rally Cry. Rally Cry ran the Madden Level Next stuff. So you're familiar with their platform. Oh, you're saying it's Face It. Okay, it's Face It. Interesting. Battlefy is where CLOL is. eFuse does CRL and College COD. And then Face It being the 4th. Oh no. I just got an email from Unified. I'm about to... Oh, nice. I got an email from Unified for their Unified Premier League saying, thank you for applying. There's so many people who have signed up, so we'll have to limit the number of teams. You'll hear from us by the end of the day on September 13th on whether or not your team is playing or if you'll be on the wait list. It is 6 p.m. on the 13th. It is the end of the day. What? And what's great about that is, like, if we don't make it, it's like, okay, now what? Where do we find something? It's esports hours, I guess. Like, you'll hear from us by the end of the day on September 13th at 6 p.m. on September 13th. I don't know anything about Val, but I feel like everything else folks want to avoid Michigan's region. I don't know about Valorant specifically on that, but yeah, when you've got Northwood there, it's a rough one. For like anything. Michigan is just Northwood. Yeah. And then you've got, I mean, Davenport has CSGO. They're pretty good at a lot of FPS stuff. There's just a lot of Michigan schools, like 25 or something. It's avoid Texas schools at all costs for Valorant. That is good to know. It's interesting because you can choose like the region based on the platform. Like, which platform do you like better? eFuse is building their own platform. I don't think I've used. Has anyone used it? Has anyone used their platform? eFuse platform is not good in my opinion. I mean, most of them are trash. Not gonna lie. Yeah, it's bad. Yeah. We just did the RFP for NACE, and I got to sit in on some pitches and see some of the platforms. What they're charging for some of these platforms, man, I'm in the wrong business. Yeah. Whew. Face It isn't bad for CSGO matchmaking. No competitive experience on it beyond solo queue. Yeah, I don't know if I've used Face It ever. eFuse never used. I haven't either. I think it's new. I think they were looking on. The last I heard, they were like testing eFuse's platform with some other leagues before they even like used it for CRL and college COD. So like they didn't even trust their own platform enough to use it. Like that is like a huge red flag in my opinion. It's like, wait, you're not even going to use your own platform for your own league? I think that's a red flag. I've not heard great things about Face It outside of high level CS. Yeah, I haven't either. I have not either. The one thing about eFuse's platform is as a third party, it's so hard to find info. Oh, great. Battlefy for CLOL, I really enjoy. Battlefy without like the custom development is like good. I mean, it does what it does. It does what it's supposed to do. It's not super pretty, but it does what it's supposed to do. But like their integration with CLOL is pretty cool. Yeah, getting my email from Unified right now. Probably not a good sign. Probably, my guess. We'll see. Battlefy for CLOL is great. Haven't had many issues at all the past 3 years. Yeah, it's not the most seamless integration. Like you can tell when you leave the landing page area, but overall it's not bad. CECC announced East Regional Finals. I talked a little bit about some of that, but we'll be at Rutgers. Oh, okay. That's cool. Fascinating. Good stuff. Well, it's 6 o'clock, so I'm going to be wrapping up here. I appreciate everyone for stopping by. Lot going on. We're in the thick of things. You just noticed the cat. I think the cat just came here. That's Kelvin. That's a big kitty. Have a fantastic week, everyone. Good luck in your matches. If you've got them, we've got a League of Legends match for Battle for Florida at 8 o'clock that I'm excited about. We'll play Full Sail. We'll show them what's up. When will you be here? Friday afternoon is the current plan. Carly is feeling sick, so we are testing for COVID every day, and I will give you an update if there is one. I know, very, very no-go. We're playing it minute by minute at this moment in my time, but we are trying our best to decide in the most safe and smart way possible. So, yeah, safe travels either way. Hey, right back at you, Lindsay. Good luck with planning. Finish those vows. Hopefully we'll see you in a couple days. All right, everyone. Is there anyone live that we should raid? There's a lot of people live today. I don't know. I hate playing favorites. If there's like another director live, I'd throw it to him. Who should I throw it to? Should we throw it to like Mizkiff and get the sympathy thank you? Or Cutie Pie? Nah, I'll just let y'all go. I appreciate everyone. Have a good week. I'll talk to y'all later. Peace.